Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the Cindy Cochran Show. And I know what I wrote on my Facebook really intrigued you, because you thought, why are you having people answer the phone at the City Hall on your show to interview? Because they're the first voice that people hear when they call City Hall in Conroe. They're trying to find out about Conroe. They don't know anything. So they call City Hall. And these are the voices, these calm voices that calm them down and go, we can take you where you want to go. You're fine. It's okay. So anyway, I have Connie Whittiker and don't tell me, Chris Bilski. Did I say it right? Oh boy. I'm so bad with names. Anyway, they're with us today, and I just thank you guys so much for, don't call while we're on, but anyway, to be here, that's so precious of y'all, because people think that's odd, but you have a very important role here, because whoever, they call, and your voice and how you treat them and all that, that's their first impression of Conroe sometimes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's important. It's an important job, right, Connie?
I think so. I mean, it gives them, like you said, the first impression. Are they going to be mad, or are they going to be satisfied and happy with what we explained to them and showed them and tried to share with them?
And Connie only answered that phone for 20 years, right? No, how many years did you answer
No,
that phone?
I only answered that phone for about 9 months. Was it even that long? Maybe 6. And then I was moved into the HR department.
But didn't it feel like 20 years?
Some days it did. Other days it went by very quickly.
Because and that's true. It depends on the people's attitudes and, you talking to them and finding out about them and what are you doing and what's going on. And, oh, you want to know about that? Okay, fine. I'll tell you. But I think that it's interesting that you're meeting people all day long that you may never see, but they may finally find their way into here and say, oh, you're the person I was talking to on there, so I need to ask you something. And Chris, I mean, it's got to be so weird, because you're so young and you're having to talk to all these people from Conroe. A lot of people are older people, and they want to know. I'll tell you what I did to him. This is so mean. This is so mean. I need to ask him something, and I thought, well, I'm going to call, because I've never called, and I should call because I'm getting ready to talk to y'all about how you treat people. So I called, and he goes, did you say City Hall or City of Conroe?
Conroe, this is Chris.
City of Conroe, this is Chris. And he was so sweet. Anyway, hey, where's that Cindy Cochran? And he goes, what? I said, I need to talk to Cindy Cochran right now. I know she's there. Tell her, get me Cindy Cochran right now, okay? And then he's going, well, I don't think she's really right. She's not here. She's on the radio, but anyway, he was trying to explain that. And I went, Chris, I'm sorry, it's me. And he goes, I thought it might be.
Kind of sounded like it. Yeah, I was like, that's it. But,
I thought I could cover that up. But anyway, I just wondered about phone calls like that you might get, that people that are so mad or so desperate and they call, are the people that just want to call and say, I love Conroe, and I just have to tell you that. Would you tell the mayor that? Have you ever had a call like that?
Yes.
You have?
People that they went to an event that maybe Parks and Rec put on for the kids, like the Kid Fest.
Yeah.
After that was over, we had several parents, grandparents, call and say they really liked it. The kids loved it. They couldn't believe that all that was free, and they really enjoyed it. So, I mean, there's many good programs for stuff like that with the Parks and Rec department. So, and I'd never been involved with it, so it was nice to hear and see.
Oh, brother, to have someone take the time to call that number and give you a good line to say it was great. is amazing to me.
Yeah, it's
'Cause people-
appreciated because we usually, it's not always a good call.
Well, at least imagine being in the city hall at Houston right now, and them getting calls about my water. I drank that water before y'all said boil it. Now what am I going to do now? I just can't imagine what's going on there.
We can't either because if one block of water goes out or we have an outage off of Crichton or where they start calling and they are not happy. They are very inconvenienced by it. They
Right.
don't understand it. Even if they have their water turned off for non-payment, they are like, okay, I need it turned back on now. We're like, okay, we're not sure when it'll be, but it'll be by the end of the day.
Probably after 5. When do we get off, Chris? Oh, we get off at 5. Yeah, it'll be after 5. That's what I just couldn't imagine having to deal with those people. Did you guys go through any kind of training to how to talk to the people?
I mean, Connie is the one who trained me. I don't know who trained her, but she trained me really well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't that
I feel pretty
sweet?
comfortable talking to the people on the phone.
You
so,
do?
yeah.
That's-
And everyone in Conroe is mostly nice. There's not a lot of super mean people out there.
See?
It's not.
Okay, then our show's over. No. I want to hear about the people how you handle an angry citizen.
Well, I mean, I always try to be comforting, just like, okay, we're going to do everything we can for you. I feel like as a civil servant, that's kind of your duty anyway, to make people feel more comfortable in their city.
Right.
And
No,
so-
that's right.
Yeah.
Show empathy,
Yeah.
you know.
And show empathy. Do you ever say, now listen, darling, it's going to be okay? Hey, sweet honey, it's going to be. You use that, don't you? I just feel you use those words.
We have a lady, and she called one day, and I had never in my life, I was like, really, you called for this? I was in shock. She was elderly, and she had a small dog, a Chihuahua mix, and she wanted the fire department to come out because the birds kept landing in her tree, and she was afraid they were going to get her dog.
Oh, no.
And I tried to explain to her that there was really nothing we could do and she's like, well, every time I open the door, they leave. And I said, exactly. And so when the fire department comes, the birds will not be there, and we really can't stop the birds from landing in your tree. Well, she kept getting mad. I said, okay, she wanted the animal control. And I said, I will give you animal control, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to help you because it's going to be very hard to control the birds. I think I would just stand out there with my dog while she's, going out and doing her business. So I transferred her over to animal shelter. She called me back very mad because she didn't like their response. And so I just kept speaking with her and talking to her, and she finally understood that, yeah, that's really not a sensible request to try to get the birds out of the tree. But she was elderly, and she was afraid for her dog.
Well, sure.
So she ended up being happy, and understanding. So it turned out good, but I didn't really know what you would do about birds landing in our tree.
But you've got the perfect accent to do the, now listen, honey, we're going to be okay. Don't you worry. It's a fun. Listen, I think that it's funny. The crows come so horribly, as so many come to Willis. And we trying to fight them off. And we have a guy, I had a neighbor that had a shotgun. It was the sound of a shotgun that would go off periodically. It'd go like, boom, and then they would all fly away. And then somebody go, come back, it's gone. And they'd come back. And he said it took about, like a day, 2 days for them to figure out it wasn't going to go away. It was going to keep going. And they quit coming over their house. They come over to our house now.
Oh.
But they come over to my house because I feed them. And I put rice out. People don't eat all the rice, so I sprinkle it out for them because it's little and they can pick it up. And then I figured out they eat anything. They'll eat anything. And so she was probably good to be worried about her dog. But they are something because people hate those crows. They hate them. And they go like, Cindy, can you quit making them want to come to this neighborhood? This is horrible. And I said, well, they're so much fun to watch. Once you put out food and bread and all that, they come and they've got this little system about between them, and so it makes it entertaining. And so I entertain myself with those. And if I want the buzzards to come, I put meat out, meat that I was going to throw away, and they come, and they're even funnier to watch. And so they go, you're so weird. Your sense of entertainment is very strange. We're going to get you hooked up with HBO or something like that you could do something else because you're ruining our neighborhood.
It's like Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds. Or
Yeah,
something.
that's exactly right. And they love my macaroni and cheese. But anyway, Chris, I need to find out from you. When we had that little meeting with the couple that was trying to get married, that they wanted to get married like immediately. They were very insistent, like, and he is on the phone, and they're just the man's walking back and forth, like, okay, and he's trying to answer a question, and so I walk out, and they're talking to each other, just, well, what are we gonna do? I don't know what we're gonna do. And so they say, do you know where you get marriage license? And I went, marriage license? Let me see. Well, the building next to us is a tax assessor now, and that must be it. Okay, fine. And they took out, and she's in these
Oh my
high
gosh!
heels.
So they went the wrong
They
way.
went to the tax assessor, and I ran out because I said, "Where's?" He goes, "It's over that way." And so I went out trying to find them, and I saw them running down that, the sidewalk in her heels, and she's like dragging him. I don't know what she had on him, but she's like kind of dragging him with her, and so they never came back here though, luckily, and get after him for
They
who's that
probably
lady
sent him to the right spot.
Yeah, finally, probably somebody told him at the tax assessor.
That's
But I
funny.
felt so bad for her in those high heels running around Conroe downtown.
Yeah. No, people bounce around like a pinball machine, like between Thompson and San Jacinto, like all these buildings around here,
And
because they gotta
Phillips.
be somewhere. Yeah, they gotta be
Yes.
somewhere around here.
And there's so many different buildings. It's not like City Hall down in Houston where you have so much contained in there. This is like 4 or 5 buildings that you may have to go to get
They'll
something
come
done.
in and they're like, I need to get to court, and we're like, well, we don't have court at our building at City Hall. Well, I have a court date, and and they'll start telling you they have a felony. They'll tell you what all the charges are. We're like, I'm not real sure, and I'm like, did they give you an address? And they'll give it to you, and you're like, okay, Thompson, you're going to go to this building. Maine, you're going to go over here. But they're going to court, running late, have no idea where they should be. That's a funny one to me.
Do they call you on the phone, or they come here
I know
physically?
they come in physically dressed up, sweating, hot, just in a panic to get to court.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
there's a giant courthouse like right
Right
across
there.
the street, and they're
That
like,
says-
I can't find it. Where do I go to court?
Like the huge white 3-story building.
But there's nothing more panicked about than having to be in court or having to have an appointment. You're supposed to be there, and if you're not, you're going to be fined and all that.
Right.
And so you're their hero if you're able to, get them where they're supposed to go. But if they've walked, like 2 blocks or something and can't find anything, how do you stand out there and point? Say, look, I'm going to set you on the right course, and then you just go straight
Some
down.
of them you do actually have to walk out the door and
And
direct
point.
and point because you're trying to explain to them, and they'll take out the wrong way. But also, I always wonder, and I know you probably have too, have you ever thought of preparing yourself before you head downtown?
Oh, they'd love to hear that from you. Yeah, right.
Sometimes you want to go, did you Google it? Did you think about where you're going? But you can't. So
Could you
smile
woke
and
up
direct.
you could have woke up about 30 minutes earlier. We'd been fine, but you didn't, did you? No, you didn't. It's got to be hard not to become the mommy and the daddy of these people and go like,
You do.
What are you doing? But I think that some of the craziest questions you got, besides the lady wanting the fire department to get all the birds out of her yard, what else has happened? Some of the crazy questions you get.
I don't know. I mean, it's not really crazy. It just kind of cracks me up when people call and they're like, how do I start a business? I'm just like, well, a million questions pop into my head. Like, what kind of business? Like, you need all kinds of.
So you
permits
ask,
and-
you engage
Well,
that?
I mean, a little. I'm just
You
like.
have to engage them because then they'll get frustrated and think you're rude and
Yeah.
short with them. So we engage them.
Yeah, you gotta just like, well, have you gotten any permits started or anything? Like, have you gotten
Do you have a
anywhere yet?
building? Do we need to just start maybe with the DBA at the county courthouse,
Yeah.
or have you got that yet? So we try to get info to know if we're sending you for a permit for a building, or you don't know what stage they're at. They're just like, I want to start a business.
Or yeah, like how do I pursue legal action on somebody? I'm just like, I'm
Oh.
not a lawyer. But
Okay, hang on. I'm going to give you water department.
There you go. Yeah.
let me
That'd
let
be
him take
funny.
them. But I think that you you have, you've got enough general knowledge about things that you can engage, just like why I'm here. But it's general knowledge, but the things that they specifically want you to give them that information, and that right now, and you shouldn't be working at City Hall if you don't give me that information. Do they ask you about their love lives or anything?
No love lives,
Yeah.
but I've had to Google many, and I can't think of a specific, but I'll be talking to them out there at the window and just start Googling, because I know they're going to, and I'm like, oh, well, here, this, and this, and they're like, okay. Or, you have to Google while you're speaking with them.
A good 75% of the information that I'll give out, it's just like me Googling their question as they're
Yes.
saying it, or as they're saying it to me in front of them.
That's smart. That's the way to do it. I
It's the
guess
quickest way to get an answer.
even when you go to the doctor, I had this. She wasn't the doctor. She was like the nurse's whatever.
That practitioner.
The practitioner, practitioner. And so I told her, she said, let's see what's going on. What's going on with you? And so I'm telling her, and she says, okay, just a minute, let me Google that. And I went, you're going to Google what I just told you was wrong with me? And she said, yeah, let me see what it says. I wanted to just choke her. Why would I come to you and you're going to Google this? And she was real young. And she was a young nurse practitioner, so she probably thought that was the everybody does that, yes. And so because a lot of people say, if you're really weird, you Google something and it can make you more weird, or it can make you just panic, and you think you got to call and get the preacher over to give you the last rites or something, because this is it. And so you have to watch what you Google and have to understand it's not always that. They're trying to sell you something, or whatever. And so you've got such a job in front of you. I don't know how you deal with people like that. Do they ask you about is the most places they want to go, or what, and directions to those places, or do they just ask you where is the best restaurant?
We can ask that, but sometimes they get distracted. They walk up to Chris's window and they're like, "What's back there?" And you're like, "Is that what you come here for?" And I'm like, "It's an empty office.
Yes.
Can I help you?" And then they'll go, "Oh yeah, what are the new restaurants around here? We're from Iowa or wherever,
Oh, so people from out of town will come up.
in." Yes,
They
and
see
want-
City Hall, and they think this is the place. Do they ever think that this might be a hotel or something, because it's called Tower of Conroe? Or?
They think there's doctors up there sometimes.
They do? Mm-hmm. Well, that's my first guest that I had on here was a comedian. And he said, okay, you told me this was 300 West Davis in the Conroe Tower. Where's a tower here? I kept looking around and kept driving around. There was no tower anywhere. And I said, well, it has big green. Remember I told you it was real big green letters? He said, but I was looking up for a tower, and there was
like a
nothing.
skyscraper.
Yeah, there's nothing there. And so he gave me the hardest time about that. And I said, okay, it is strange to see it, because it has a real glitzy, it's Las Vegas of the Conroe. And it's just, but we don't have a lot of tall towers.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. My girlfriend, when we both started working here, in the city, she works 2 blocks away, and she could not find City Hall, because we would ride together, and she could not find City Hall to pick me up, and I'm like, babe, it's the tallest building in the city.
But being from Vegas, she probably thought it was a really, a 20-story building.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, that bridge is probably the most, exciting thing.
I love that. I think that's so pretty.
That bridge says a story, tells the story of Texas, and it's great. And I remember when someone told me that was the guy that designed the flag. Is that guy, and he was from Conroe, or he was from this area. And that's a huge deal for us, for goodness sakes. And so I think that I wondered if people ask history questions of you, or they say, how long has it been here? And what was the agricultural or economics of it?
Yeah, what are the train? Because some things still have the train emblem or logo on it, and so they'll ask the history of the train station, and so you Google and you let them know that's how it started out.
That's right.
You know, railroad and supplies and stuff. But I'm sure we talked about this. We've learned a lot about the history of Conroe from just Googling it and reading about it, because prior to that, I'm from outside of Baytown, Texas. I didn't know much about Conroe other than we would come here to the lake, so I've learned a lot about it.
Yeah.
Well, see, what's interesting is when, you know, the Moco Food Hall.
Yes.
Okay, they have a vault in there, and that vault was used to keep the gold coins that were on the train. They bring them through here.
Really?
And so they that's where they put them, in that vault. And so now the vault is for cigar and brandy. It's
pretty.
Kinda,
Yeah, it's
supposed
nice
to be
in
hidden.
there.
It's a little
Oh,
pub.
so nice. And it's I thought that was really cool. I said, you should do like a tour of this place. Because it's historical in the sense of that, and that's where the trains would stop and they'd unload gold.
I know,
Probably,
that's neat.
you know, probably wasn't known around town, but it was just, that's cool. And I think that if they ask you about that, do they ask you like, what would be, tell us the stories about how it got started? And Main Street, is that where it got started? It's on Main Street. Do they ask you things like that?
Not really.
No, yeah.
They'll come in and want maps or pamphlets or wonder why we don't have like a visitor center like you stop at, you know, towns and
right.
stuff, you know. But we just provide what we can with them. If we have a map, we give it to them, or, you know, different historical places that we know about, we'll direct them to or let them know, you know, it'd be a good place to go
Right.
visit.
Right.
A lot of them are interested in the lake.
That's what I was going to say. The lake must
Lake.
be the draw.
It is. A lot of people come in wanting to fish it, what restaurants are located on the lake, you know, or is there waterfront restaurants.
Oh,
you
brother,
get a lot,
yes.
yeah, you get a lot of interest in the lake.
That's good. Well, that's good. Yeah, down 105.
Yes.
That's, you know, that I didn't even know that was there. I was like years before, you know, someone said, well, you just keep driving down 105 and you're going to find all kind of, you know, right there on the water and all that. And so I went, okay. So we went down there one 4th of July, and I went, oh my word. And people, it was so packed. There were so many people there. And so they said, well, what the best place to be for the fireworks is at this restaurant, and you sit outside. So we went and we waited inside, you know, to get a place for outside, and the fireworks went off, and we never got to see anything.
I would say that'd be my luck.
Okay, next year. So we just stand in front of our house at Willis and watch them, because it goes far up enough where you
It
can be in
does.
Willis and see it. And it was, you know, and they do have a lot of different things for people to do, and especially in Conroe. I noticed when we were in the old building, the radio station used to be down on 100 Main. Was it 100 Main, Richard? That 208. 208. That's close enough. And where the other station was, it was Richard bought it after we were way more FM is what we were called, and then he bought the whole station. He's just like, I'm tired of being the engineer. I'm going to be the owner. So he bought
I
it.
didn't know that.
Yes, he is. He's a big dog around here, you know, and so that's what he does. Everything he does, he's just like, you know, a 5-man show. It's crazy. So for him to let me come and work in here, I'm so proud, because that's all I always wanted to do is radio, and I love it. I love it so much. And I'm so happy that we're here, because this looks a lot safer than where we were on Main Street, because they had this big picture window, and people could walk by, and it played the radio station outside, and so they'd walk by and they could hear us talking and all that, and sometimes we'd comment on them, and but it was so much fun, and my son was so worried about me because I would get into some political stuff, and he'd go,
Oh,
Grandma, you understand they can come by and just shoot you because you're right there in front of the, you know, the world and everybody. But they never did that. They thought
Thank
she's
goodness.
too crazy. But we had a good listening audience on the sidewalk in front of it was a cafe. They had a coffee cafe there and all. And now they're doing ghost tours. Have y'all heard about that? Mm-hmm. See, I knew she should have come and given y'all pamphlets. She had handouts of this.
We could put them out there on the table. That would be something fun.
Oh man, it was downtown Conroe, and she would take these tours and give the history and what ghosts have been sighted where and all that. And the ghost that I loved was Bonnie and Clyde, and it was right across the street. There was some apartment complex, but they stayed. It was a hotel before, and Bonnie and Clyde came and stayed there. And so people would say that they still see them there in the hallways and stuff.
See, that'd be interesting.
I love that kind of stuff.
I do too.
So when I wanted her to do a follow up because she just started it this Halloween, and so it was like her scary thing to do. But she said, but she was just doing mostly historical, and that the spirits are there. You can believe it or not, whatever you want to believe, it's okay.
Right.
But it was real interesting, and she got a good audience. She got on the front of the Conroe Courier her picture they're talking about. This is a ghost tour that they're doing.
There's a lot of people that are interested in that type of thing. I lived in Savannah for 3 years before I come here. And
Ooh, I bet.
there is ghost tours and cemetery tours. So, I mean, and with the history here, she should have a good follow.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to try and have her back in and do a follow-up, see what she learned and what kind of people showed up. And did the guy with the jumper that showed up in front of your office when you were answering the phones? Now, what was his name?
We don't know his name. He just comes to visit us frequently.
And what does he wear, Connie?
Sometimes
I haven't seen him yet.
Like
honestly, this is a fabled tale
a toddler
to me.
jumper for men.
It's a toddler jumper.
The
for men.
zippy one piece you put on your toddler.
Oh, and what did he want from information? Did he want from you?
He wanted to be heard.
Oh, he wanted to be heard.
Yes, he's a citizen, and he wanted to be heard.
Oh, that's
but
so
he wanted
sweet.
to unzip his jumper while he was being heard.
So how did you handle that? Did you say zip
him
that?
candy out of the jar, and he took it and threw it, and then picked it up and ate it.
So when the police arrived, did he say, "Well, she offered me candy"?
No, he sat down and had choice words for him, and just sat there and calmed down. They were able. Our guys that protect us around the Conroe Tower have a good demeanor, and they've dealt with this person many times, and so they just spoke with him and calmed him down and got him regrouped again to head back out.
That's so sweet.
But he comes in often. He likes sparkly stuff to wear too. But I mean, he's normally nice and harmless.
Mm-hmm.
Just that day, something had triggered him.
Well, that's got to light up your day.
It did. We tried to settle him without the police, and we got different people involved, and he just really wanted to see somebody. But I mean, people don't realize that even though there's council members and there's mayor and there's everyone, they think they're here 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that they have full-time jobs or other things outside. This is something that they do. I don't know if part-time's the right word, but they serve the community full-time, but they're not here 24/7 at the tower. But
That
people
is-
think they are.
That is, and I'm sure they would demand to talk to the mayor.
Oh,
And they've
like
seen too many, TV shows where, like Small Town Mayberry, and they can go in, I want to talk to the mayor right now. I need to talk to him right now and tell him what's wrong with this place. But, there is the process, and you do have some quality control around here, and the police are around. They are precious.
They're very good. They will
Officers are
get here in
great.
no time because this is their area, and
Right.
it's very convenient for you. Just call them, and you're like, okay, David or whoever's on, we need you.
Now all you have to do is you tell that guy next time he comes in is that, and Richard's so glad that I wasn't here when he came in, because I would have had him on the show. I'd have been like, come over here.
Oh, he was entertaining when he threw the candy and then picked it and ate it, then threw it again. Then he wanted to charge his phone, but his phone didn't have work because he didn't. Yeah, it was interesting.
See, everybody has a backstory, don't they?
They do.
They do. And I know that Chris has a backstory. And if his parents are listening right now, we wanted to say hi to you. And they're in Vegas?
Yes, yeah, they're in Vegas.
Ay, ay, ay. So we're being picked up in Vegas, Richard. This is so exciting. So we've gone outside the confines of Conroe, and now we're in Vegas. What are their names? You want to say hi? Say hi to them.
Hi, Dad and Erica, my stepmom and my dad.
And do you want to tell anything, send money or anything like that?
I'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Next
you get
week.
to go. Yeah.
Oh, are you going out
I
there?
am going to Vegas. Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what you can do now. Now you can get the Cindy Cochran show up on YouTube and find the date and all that, and then you can take it and and cast it onto the big screen. They have probably a 65-inch screen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go, and cast that on the. I love your kid. He is so nice, so sweet, and I just had to put a
And a
spotlight
gentleman.
on.
Thanks.
He'll hold the door for you. Yes, very respectful.
Do you know how to? Let me ask you this: how old are you?
I'm 22.
That old? That old? I
Don't
wish I-
even.
I
Yeah.
just
have
turned
never-
23. Okay, yeah, turned 23 in October.
Okay. I was gonna say.
You can't forget your age at
I
this
know.
age.
No, that's right. I was going to say, I may go, I'm 70, and I don't know when I'm going to forget that. But listen, no, he's so nice and so sweet, and we just love him. And Connie is the very same way. That's what we love about these people. And I just had to come in, because usually I don't get to talk to y'all except just like 2 seconds, like, hey, what? Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. But I love listening to y'all. So your parents are very proud, I'm sure, of you. And do you have brothers and sisters
I have yes, I have a brother and a sister out here in Texas.
in Texas? What are their
Yes.
names?
Robert and Elizabeth.
Robert and Elizabeth
Yeah,
and
Robert-
Chris.
Robert is, let's see, 12, and Elizabeth is 17, I think.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
You're such a baby. You're such a
Yes,
baby.
a baby.
And you're all the way out in Texas now. And you have your brother and sister here. Do they live near here?
They live with my mother here in
Okay.
Texas. so-
Okay. So they're in Conroe and
They live in Imperial Oaks. That's where I kind of grew up, is in like the little suburban area of Imperial Oaks, right off of 45 here, just below Conroe.
are you? You mean off like?
It's by, you know where Oak Ridge North is?
I was gonna say yeah.
Yeah, like
'Cause
back by Shenandoah,
Yes.
a little bit south. From
Yeah.
there, so.
That's I know exactly where they are. I know where you live now.
Good old suburbs there. It's nice.
Yes. Well, you're a Texas boy then. You really are a Texas boy.
Yeah, I was born in California, but mostly raised here. And then
Okay.
had some high school in Vegas, but
Well, they wouldn't let you answer the phones if you had a California accent or anything like that.
No, we
Would
would not.
No. You have to talk like Connie. Did Connie say,
Oh,
if
goodness.
you really want to get along with these people, because if somebody is driving through, from Wisconsin, and they go like, let's call City Hall and listen to somebody talk like a Texan. And they
I've
go,
been asked where I'm from. They're like, "Where are you from?"
What?
I said, "Here."
where'd you think I was from?
I'm from New York.
yeah.
I tried because I wanted to be on radio. So I thought, I've got to get rid of this Texas accent. I've got to. And I wanted to be in the entertainment business. And I knew that Texas, they made fun of Texas people and their accent and all that. So I tried so long to get rid of the Texas accent. So I finally got my first job as narration of some documentary or something that said, okay, now this is about Texas. So we want you to use your Texas accent to do this. And I went, okay. And I'm going like, to try and, it sounds so phony when you're trying to talk like a Texan. It sounds phony. But that was like, after all that, trying to get rid of it. And then Texas accents started coming back,
it comes back
Urban
quick,
Cowboy
yes.
came out and everybody, and I started talking like this. I know what y'all talking about. It's so cute to have a Texas accent, but it's horrible to listen to people trying when they're not a Texan on movies. They all sound like they're from the deep South. in Atlanta or something like that.
And there's a difference from living in Georgia and living here. Georgia has a very slow Southern drawl, and they talk very slow.
Right.
Well, I find Texans talk fast, but we have a drawl.
And in East Texas and West Texas, they have a different speed.
And they do.
And because I was an interpreter, and
Wow.
I was interpreting for this convention. It was deaf people, and so these deaf people were coming in, and I was trying to sign to them, and they sit there like this. I said, "What's wrong?" And they said, "Because you sign so slow. You Texas people, y'all talk real slow. You sign real slow, and it's kind of boring for us. We sign a lot faster than that." And I went, "Okay, I didn't know that that's how you could tell if someone was from Texas or South or North or whatever." But it was, and they were just bored with it because you sign too slow. But I think that it's funny is when the accents and how different accents tell who you are and what you are and all that. And Chris doesn't have an accent. You really don't have much of an accent at all.
Not much. I just picked up the y'all like very recently.
Were you doing you guys?
Yeah. That was always my go-to, you guys. But working in the service industry, they're like, stay away from you guys. It's not totally politically correct. So, just say y'all or say you all. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even know what you could say other than y'all. Someone said, "Well, we're the only ones that say y'all." And I said, "Well, what else would you say?"
They say y'all in the South. It's just, once you get above, maybe
Yeah, I don't know.
Virginia, they don't. My sister-in-law's from Ohio. She says you guys.
Yes, you guys. And I started saying that, and people were going like, "Don't say you guys. You're a Texan. Don't say that." They were just upset that I would do that. And I grew up in Houston and was born and raised in Houston. And so the South and the Southern and the Texas and all that stuff was so big for us. And I couldn't think when I would see on TV and they say something about Texas, like, how do y'all know about us? Like, I don't understand how y'all are talking about us. This is so weird. It's like, I didn't understand that, you're in the United States of America, and so you're part of all of this, and that's okay. And we weren't that big of a city. We always thought we were bigger than everybody else. And everything we had was bigger than everybody else. So I was raised like that, and I got that.
Well, that's
that took
how
with
all us
me.
Texans are. We think, we don't even think that Alaska is the biggest state. We think we are.
Exactly.
We don't acknowledge that.
I was sitting in Wednesday night class when they said that Alaska is now a state of the United States, and I went, how can that be? I could not understand that or wrap my head around that at all.
Right.
It was like, what does that mean? But I think what's cool about Conroe is because Conroe is starting to just go crazy how it's grown. And I'm in Willis, and it's so
growing.
much traffic.
I'm in Willis.
You're in Willis. And the traffic, it's not all HEB, I don't think.
No,
They're coming to
it's
see.
no HEB. Thank goodness, though, they're making that like a 4-lane exit.
They've got they've taken the whole street to make people that are trying to get to HEB comfortable. I'm telling you, it's just
down all the trees so you can get to HEB.
That's right. And they got a sidewalk that goes all the way to the next exit for people that are coming from apartments so they can walk there.
Well,
Because
they're building that subdivision there too.
Yes, yeah. And I think it's going to get faster if you get on the sidewalk and get there.
Yes.
But I went to the first opening and all that stuff, and I told you I had the GM on the show.
Yes.
And so it was hilarious to see because it just shows how little we have to do in Willis. We don't have much to do, and if you got an HEB with big red letters opening up, everybody's going to be there. And just standing and watching these people was so much fun because they were looking around like, I can't believe it. I can't. They were in amazement and like, now, where could I find the chicken salad? It was hilarious. They had people there to do everything for you. What would you like? I can tell that you need something.
And samples of
need?
everything.
Samples of everything, especially liquor and champagne. That was funny.
They
That had the
to
longest
liquor up
line.
and buy their stuff. But you want to know what's funny, Cindy? our boss, which we love her, and I don't know if we're allowed to say her name, but she took off that day so she could be at HEB when they opened and see everything. And she wanted to go alone just so she could enjoy the stroll.
not be rushed.
Her husband went with her, and he was sick, and so she had to rush through, so it ruined her whole experience.
And the Astros were in the playoffs. This was it.
Yes.
And you could tell all the husbands were like, let's go. This is enough. Okay. Gotcha. Let's go. And I remember my husband went with me to they had a pre-opening. And so we went to that, and it was just, I said, you're like a 5-year-old child. Just enjoy this. He goes, the Astros are playing. We got to go. And so it was horrible. I told James, the general manager, I said, of all days, he said, I know, HEB is their sponsor. We can, and we wanted to go to the games, and we couldn't go. Oh. But it was so much fun. And I love, that's what you love about a small town. And that's what we have here, except we've got a lot of people that just, you still have the small town attitude, but you've got all these people coming in from everywhere to enjoy that and enjoy all the privileges we have. But you don't mess with our law officers.
You're welcome.
That's right.
Don't change it.
You
came
the
here
reason
for a
you came here,
reason.
you voted wrong. So you need to come here, and it'll be fine. But you had your problems there, and you don't want to mess with our police at all.
No,
No, especially driving through Shenandoah. Don't do that because they mean business. They go, you were going 46 in that 45, ma'am. You're getting a ticket. And they're like, what? But it's interesting that we have a reputation somewhat of that, of being really strict, and our guys don't put up with much, and we're
right.
The DPS, forget about it. Don't be crazy.
But think about it. They may have that reputation. Think how many times you're going down 45 for me from here to Willis, and I'll see one of Conroe's policemen pulled over on the side of the road helping with a flat. Or one day I'm heading home, and he's putting gas in someone's car, and I'm like, you know what? That's great.
That is great.
Where else would you see that than a small town? And you're like, I'm glad. That's one of, I feel like ours, because we work here and so it feels good to know that, hey, they're out there actually helping people. You can gripe about the police all you want to, but who you gonna call?
That's exactly right.
And they're out there doing good things, but they don't show the good things they're doing. When they do go to like the Fall Fest and the mounted patrol we have now, that is a positive.
Sure.
Who doesn't like to see a mounted policeman? It's just, to me, so I like the small community, and I like knowing that they are out there doing positive things, and people need to just dispel that horrible myth.
They should. They really should, because I've been to the Catfish Cajun.
Oh, the
Catfish Festival.
Yes.
Yeah, Cajun. We're like, anyway, I've been to that, and when we were, and I have to tell this story, this personal story, and Richard knows all about this, is I had my grandchildren with me, and we were sitting in the radio station watching all this stuff go on. So we went out, and they wanted to look at everything. So they're looking and all that, and I'm talking to someone, and I look back, and they're not there. And I can't find them. And I can't look, and I'm looking, and I go back to the station. They're not there. And so I told the police officer, and she said, just a minute. She said, close the park down. It's like they closed everything down like that.
Isn't that fantastic?
And
That's
found
great.
and found them where they were. I was so embarrassed. I was so thankful, and I couldn't believe how fast they did that. And that's the caring and the love that they have. And they just like shut everything down. You imagine how mad people were, like, I got to get out of here. No, I'm sorry. You have to wait till we find this child. But it really does show what kind of caring. I don't know who trains them, but they do a good job.
They have I have nothing negative to say.
Michael
about
Berry was just complimenting. I mean, he was just slobbering over the chief of police in Conroe, and they was talking about how, in Willis, they were talking about how great all the officers are and how they helped and did something for him. And I thought, well, makes you proud.
It does make you proud.
Yeah.
Like I said, just going down the road, seeing them helping somebody, you're like, oh, that's, it gives you a good feeling.
Now, do people call up here and say, connect me to the police, or they say I need a policeman here?
Sometimes, like, they'll just say, can I talk to the police department? There's a quick little button to do that, and just send them right over to the police department.
That's great. Okay, hospitals, the ambulances, they call for ambulance?
If they need an ambulance, they usually call 911.
Good.
But like it's a lot of the times it's like non-emergency. They'll be like, "Can I get the non-emergency line for the police?" And just hook
Well,
them
they
right
think
up.
the police pick up dead animals from the road, and that's not the police that do that.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "There's a dead animal over," and
Yeah, that's Public Works.
that's public. I first thought it was animal control
Yeah,
when I
so
first
did I.
started working here.
And it's called what?
It's Public Works. They go and
Public
get it.
Works
Like the
takes
street
it.
department, they go
Oh.
get them. But we
That's
get a
so
lot of calls for that.
So, well, now, if they see a dog that's out and it doesn't look like it's being contained, do they call and?
Yeah, that's when you direct them to like animal control or like the animal shelter, and then they'll dispatch somebody from animal control.
Okay.
to go pick that
Well,
up.
if they ever describe it as a black lab, and please call me first. And say,
I just got a black lab puppy. So cute.
You
Yeah,
did?
I
oh,
did.
you're
Just
What's
like
his name?
a week or two ago. Charlie.
Oh.
oh, now you're going to be getting calls saying, "Oh,
You're gonna have
Chris,
to bring him up here.
congratulations!"
Rachel needs to bring him
Oh,
by.
yeah, definitely. He's cute. He's really cute.
No, they are the best. Well, this is a mix of a collie and it's a lab and what's the other one? Yellow
A golden?
golden retriever.
Oh, ooh,
Thank
a
you.
lab and a retriever.
That's
a good
I
Chris,
mean,
yes.
wow, what a mixture! And so, I'm not going to let it die. I'm just not going to let it. I told it, "You're not dying. You're not going to. I'm telling you, you got to stay." And I'm sure I'll go first. But that dog does. I never did I think I'd be that attached to a dog, but it's true. They get your heart and and they say they're like the children. They're like your children. And I say it is better than my children, though sometimes the way they act. But I think that if you get calls like that, and you have to be very sympathetic if they're coming to pick up their dog that died and they need to, what do they do if they die at their house? They tell them to come get them?
Sometimes people will call for like personal issues where there's like nothing we can do, and that's it. That's like where I most have to find sympathy and be like, I'm really sorry to hear that. I wish there was a department who could really help you out in your situation right now, and then you just give them all the reference material.
References
you
that.
can get.
Well, that's if you ever had an emergency where it was they just wouldn't get off phone, they're hysterical, and how did you handle that?
Sometimes people will call like, my water line is bursted and this happened and that happened and this and that, and you can try and let them know you might have to repeat all of this to somebody. I'll connect you with somebody who can help, but there's nothing really I can do. But
See, that's good. That's always good to say. You may have to repeat all of this, and I'm sure you don't
would.
want to.
But when they were, that company was installing the cable lines
Oh, yeah.
underground, we had and they were installing for a new neighborhood underground cable for TV, and they were tearing up everybody's water lines.
Yeah.
And they would call us mad, and we were like, okay, but you have to call the cable, I'm going to give you the water so we can get it shut off, but you're going to need to call that company. But
Was
I
it Suddenlink?
I'm not going to say who.
yeah, no,
But,
they're
it
a fiber
wasn't-
optic Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
company.
it wasn't suddenly. But then they wanted to know why did they have permission? Why did we give them permission to dig in their yard? So you have to explain, well, the first so many feet of your yard are an easement for utilities. They don't have to get City of Conroe's permission to do it. And then they're mad because they don't need permission and they didn't. I'm like, how? I mean, you're elderly, or you're my age. I'm elderly, gosh. And you're like, how do you not know the first so many feet of your yard are for utility?
I'll tell you though that I worked for Warner Cable for a long time, and we went out and they were putting in fiber optic, and it was like a big deal. It's fiber optic going in, and they dug. We're shooting it, and they're digging in, and all of a sudden there's they've struck oil. What is this from? And it was horrible. I said, why didn't you know that was there? And they said, well, they saw, this is where we dig. This is where we're digging. And they're supposed to have called. They got in trouble because I told them on them. But they were supposed to have called and gotten and found out. You call the water company, oil, and all that. And so I can see that happening, and I can see those people being so mad. I don't blame them.
They're very angry because, number one, they didn't know they were coming to do it. And number two, they thought that the city gave them permission. And then three, to find out that, no, your recourse is with that company.
Yes.
You know, they get very frustrated. But then, you know, you speak with them and you explain the situation in a calm manner. And even though you have to say it 5 or 6 times, you just, you know, show empathy. And they're like, then they end up understanding, being like, thank you. Okay, now I'll know, you know, to get in touch with them. So, but it's frustrating for them.
This particular Wi-Fi company has like amazed me, like with how many issues they've gotten themselves into. They've cut out cable, they've cut out water, they've cut out electricity.
And you're not going to name them, are you?
No, they caused my internet to go down, and I'm not with them.
It's crazy. They have cut so many lines to so many homes in Conroe, and people just call and like, last week it was the cable, now it's the water. And, you know, like I'm really sorry. You know, we just contracted this company out to do this, and you know, they'll get it fixed as soon as possible. We care about our citizens, so we'll help you out.
Yes.
You know, that's very good, and you're reassuring and making sure they feel like everything's going to be okay.
Well, you want them to feel heard. You want them to know we do care about our citizens first and foremost. You know, we want you to know that you're our, per se, customer. You know, you pay the city taxes. So we want you to feel heard, and we want you to feel like your voice is important and your feelings are important. You know, you don't want them to hang up mad and feel like, you know.
And it just doesn't feel like you did your job right.
Yeah, no, it would bother me to think that yeah.
Now, do you get calls about city council and what they're doing or what the mayor's doing? They complain about they don't think the mayor's doing enough, or they think the mayor should be doing more.
Everybody has their own opinion. I tell them that they're welcome to come. I don't give them a lot of information because that's not, you know, for me to judge or say. You know, I will let them know when the workshop is, when the meeting is, and you're welcome to come sign up and have your 3 minutes. But, you know, everyone has an opinion.
See, that's what is interesting, is that to stay out of that, you know, like.
You have to be very, like, don't be political, don't give your views, very, very neutral, you know, because you don't want to feel like, oh, well, you're on the other side, or you're, you know. So I don't know how you handle it. I just try to stay very neutral, let them know their voice could be heard. They're welcome to come, you know, sit in the workshops, sit in the meetings, and, you know, be a part of decisions and such.
Is it hard to get rid of somebody that wants to just talk to you? Is it hard to get rid of them?
Sometimes, yes. Like sometimes they'll just, because there's a lot of automations like throughout the city departments. So when they can talk to a real person, you're the only one I can talk. Like, I got you. I know I can reach you.
And
here.
You're a captain now.
Yeah.
And they can hear the other lines beeping. They don't even.
And so how do you get rid of them? Do you?
I just tell them, like, listen, you know, I'm not directly here to. I'm not directly in contact with other departments in the city, and there's not a whole lot I personally can do for you, but I know of many people who can help you out. So.
And they go, can I take you home with me? You're so sweet.
Well, they think that we're at the same building as, say, utilities or public works, or, you know, and we explain to them, and I've heard you explain, we're not in the same building, but if you're getting sent back to me over and over, instead of putting you through the normal, regular way, I will give you to a person. And then they're like, oh, thank you, you know.
I'll send you to Connie. Thank you. Listen, you guys have been so much fun. We're out of time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was an honor.
See, there was absolutely no reason to be nervous, was there, Connie?
I'm still anxious.
Yeah,
We're both.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here, and I'll tell all your family hello.
Hello.
We love her. We love her. And your mom and dad will be talking to you after the show. But what's cool is as soon as we go off the air, we'll be on YouTube. And you can go to the Cindy Cochran Show and listen to everything you just said. It's because I usually listen to it on the way home. It's cool.
Well, I have to go to my desk and watch and see how embarrassing.
So tomorrow you got to be here for Eric Dimmer and Hugo Rodriguez. Jammy Jams, Hugo Rodriguez. He's going to be so mad I said that. Anyway, you got to be here, and it's going to be so much fun. We'll have some live music. You won't believe it. So you guys be here tomorrow, and thank you. And first responders, we love you. We love you so much. And what's great is God loves you more. Thank you for watching. See ya.